we're just about to apply the BMW structural foam into the two rear cavities on this E46 M3. We've got a protection in there. We've got both holes exposed. We've drilled our centre hole, 10mm hole, and then gone into the lower panel and applied polyurethane sealer to make a central sort of barrier so that when we apply it into the corners that it doesn't travel. It probably doesn't matter if we're doing both sides because BMW suggested just for the left side so that it doesn't travel away, but seeing as we're doing both sides it's not really apparent, but we still do that anyway. And up in the upper section, you see up here we've already opened up a square of sealer to get to the hole and applied polyurethane sealer there in that sort of central chassis leg tunnel area, so that creates like a dead end up there, dead end here, so that when we apply into this corner it's going to surround the threaded mount and it will travel but it won't actually escape away, so it will, two tubes will fill this side up, two tubes will fill this side. And we've also done it on the hole up here. I think some people have tried to do it here on this right side and had problems with getting it to surround the mount, but I think that's probably because they've not drilled a hole in this second central chassis leg up here to make the dead end, so to speak. So we've got our bath now with the 4 containers, which have just been sitting in warm water. So we're all ready to deploy the first one of 4 resin cartridges into the rear axle carrier panel. We're going to start with the left rear. And we're going through the first, into the first cavity, and then there's a stop. We want to go into the second one, into there, and that's right at the bottom now on the floor. So we want to retract about a centimetre, and then off we go. Still going. Just coming up to about halfway now on the depth gauge. Coming up to 3/4. You can imagine this first one is trying to spread throughout the cavity along here, which is why we've done obviously the dead end here, and along the centre, which is why there's a dead end up there. Nearly empty on this one. That's our lot on this one. So now we get a second one. Okay, we got our second one installed now. There's the first cavity. And there's the second one. We know that that black line, 8 centimeters, is the bottom of it. So we're going to stay just about a centimetre above it. Unfortunately, I can't make this bit any more interesting. About halfway now. About 3/4. Getting quite a bit of pressure now. Trying to push the tube up. The gauge is definitely slowing down. Almost emptied. Almost at the end. That's it. We're at the end. There you go, you can see where the cavity second section was. This is probably going to be hard to picture, but we're now looking at an overhead view of the resin which is inside the cavity. You can see the two sections. So where the blue tape is, this is obviously into the boot, and then there's a hollow section which we don't want to do anything with, and then there's a secondary section which goes down onto the threaded receiver, which is just about there on the left hand side of this hole. We can clearly see, it's probably hard to get on this camera, but that resin has completely filled that left side of the cavity and is all the way to the roof, and there's a hollow section in the middle where we've obviously retracted the tube. But yeah, the good news is that it was all the way to the roof, so that means that a bit better picture, you can see the height or the depth of it. So that means that that has surrounded that threaded receiver. And we're really pleased with the ambient temperature in the workshop, which is now at 34.3 degrees, which is really quite hot for a workshop. We normally have ours at round about 14 degrees this time of the winter. We've got good consistency on the panel and onto the very top of the foam, 34.5. Interestingly, on the technical data for this foam, the Henkel, the manufacturer, their test conditions were 40 degrees. So not that we're going to actually get to 40, but the hotter it is in ambient temperature, not localized heat, will help the curing process. And this is a tube that we took, which we didn't throw away, which has got some of the foam, which we're about just over 3 hours in now. And I can't really compress this. This is already set in. You just see a little dent in the tube. This is obviously just a plastic tube. You can compress the end where there is no foam, but where there is foam, I can just about put a dent in it, and that's about it. So, like I say, we're a few hours into the 24-hour cure period now. So here we are, 25 hours on, and the foam is cured absolutely fine. It's rock solid, which is obviously a good success. That's in the right hand side cavity as well. So we do both sides. We do the left hand side, which BMW suggest, and then we do the right hand side as well. And then this is a couple of samples that we kept. Tube here, which is all set, absolutely solid. I can't really do much test with one hand here, but I can't bend this. You can hear how solid that is. Smaller tube here we cut in half. And then this is the other end of the tube, which we did a section cut of. So we'll be doing some more testing in the future videos, but that's just an example of how we structurally foam a BMW E46.